What is going on, guys? Matt here. Today, we're looking at an absolute classic in the knife world. Your dad probably had one, maybe your granddad had one, especially if they're an outdoorsman or a hunter. Today, we're looking at the Buck 119, which is just one of the most well-known, kind of recognized knives, especially in the kind of fixed blade knife community. So as you can see, we got a little bit of a different background. I got my Smoky Mountain Knife Works mat. This came with a knife I bought from them. I'm not sure, you guys will have to let me know. Are Grip Tillions, are they changing the steel on these? I know you have a bunch of different options, but I got this for a fantastic deal from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. No, I don't mind sponsoring or, giving them some free publicity. No, they do not sponsor me, but be open to that. Smoky Mountain Knife Works, give me a call, all right? But I got a great deal on this, and this mat came with it. So I figured, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm going to use this as my backdrop, at least for a little while, depending on what you guys like. So yeah, we're looking at the Buck 119. Classic in the knife community. Many of you guys know it. I'm just going to give you my take, what I like, what I dislike, and something unique, as I always do. But first, let's do some size comparisons real quick. So we'll do some size comparisons, then we'll do specs, and then we'll talk about all that other stuff. So just a couple. So let's put this up here, and then we just saw this real quick. This is the mini grip. I got this for a great price. It's an S30V. Hey, we're going for like 75 bucks. Fantastic deal, right? So that's a 3-inch blade, 6-inch blade right there. All right, and let's just do one more real quick. It's the Cold Steel Magnum Tanto. This is the Magnum Tanto 2. Can't even fit it on the table. It's a good sized blade right there. I got some rust on this thing actually. I was using it for something and I guess I threw it back in the sheath. Who cares? I'm gonna use this thing. This is such a cool blade. Okay, so let's talk specs. So I usually write them down, guys, and I forgot to, but I want to keep going with the review. I don't want to have to stop and start. So let me give you the basics. This is a 6-inch blade. Overall, obviously, it's clip point. This is made of 420 high carbon steel with the Boss heat treat, as a lot of bucks are. I'd say most bucks are. This is a phenolic handle, which I guess is the same stuff they used to make bowling balls. Aluminum guard, aluminum pommel. I don't know the exact size of the handle, though. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably about 4.5 inches. And we got a fancy scale right here. Now, this is on rubber, so I'm going to guess this might be a little inaccurate. But let's see if we can figure out how much this weighs. 7.69 ounces. I'm going to guess that that's correct. Let me weigh it real quick off table or off screen real quick on a different service. Yeah, 7.73. So about 7.7 ounces. And then let's weigh the sheath real quick too, because it does come with a leather sheath. Most anyway do. This one right here. So let's see if we can get that to get back to zero. There we go. So 3.17 ounces for the sheath. Whole package is about 10.9, so about 11 ounces, right? Okay. All right, guys, let's get into what I like about the Buck 119. Very classic knife. I mean, you really, this is just one of those knives that's so recognizable. Even if people don't know knives, they don't know brands, they're like, yeah, I've seen that knife before. They've probably seen it, or a version of it in the movie Scream. That is actually a Buck 120. It's got a 7-inch blade, but same overall profile. So what do I like? I love the look of this. You guys know, I like that plain aesthetic where it's kind of, silver guard and pommel, black handle, and then a blade. And this is kind of the first to do that aesthetic, the first to do it very well. So I think that this aesthetic, the overall look, very clean, very simple, but also very beautiful. And along with that, I love the clip point blade. Let me wipe this off real quick. Get all those fingerprints off. I adore this clip point blade, especially with that fuller. I just think it's a very, very pretty blade. It's hard to go wrong with a Bowie style clip point. But this is just one of those that has really nice, clean lines to it. Nice sweep, nice belly. This is really designed as a hunting knife, though I think it's quite big. Whoa, that was a loud crack of thunder. That's crazy. Quite big for a hunting knife nowadays, but back then, this was kind of used for everything. It's a camp knife, and I think it still would function well as a camp knife, though there are more kind of practical options. Okay, what else do I like? Well, I like the look of the pommel and the guard. I think that it's cool that, again, this feels like a knife that was created when people kind of cared about how a thing felt in your hand, how a thing looked. We have a lot of knives that are very practical. This knife's very practical. Does it look great? It doesn't look bad, but there's nothing about it that makes me go, oh man, that's a pretty knife. There's a lot about this, and that guard and that pommel being polished aluminum. As you can see, it's a little scratched up. Even though I haven't used this thing, it's just kind of how it came out of box. It looks nice, and I think they're designed very well for that. And I want to be upfront about something. We'll kind of take a real quick respite from the review. I'll try to be upfront with you guys about knives that I haven't really tested extensively or used much, because it is a different review. Now, I've used knives for maybe not as long as some of you guys, but for quite a while. Heavy use knives for at least over a decade, and I know what kind of works and what's not going to. I'm always surprised. Sometimes I can be surprised. Sometimes I'm wrong. I'm still learning. I'm still growing, obviously. But a lot of times I can kind of tell what's going to perform and what's not going to perform. I have not used this version specifically extensively, but I have used other Buck 119s quite a bit. So I do have enough kind of, I think, of a data point to tell you guys how this will perform. All right, back to the review. So I like that those flourishes make this look like an elegant blade. Okay. Another thing I really, really like about this knife is the sheath that comes with it. Now, I think originally they came with leather sheaths when they first came out. They switched to kind of a Cordura, kind of a nylon, similar to what is on that Secure X sheath right there, that clip right there, or that belt loop rather. And they since have gone back to really just a nice piece of leather. As you can see, this is one piece of leather, and the only place that it's stitched is right along here, and that is thick, nice stitching. Very well done. It's even got a drain hole right here, and it has a plastic insert. This is a leather sheath done right, guys. Now, it does shake a little bit in the sheath, so I would prefer if it was a little bit tighter, but there is no really weak point in this sheath. Man, it is coming down, guys. That's crazy. Hopefully that's added a little bit of fun to the review, right? So I really like this sheath. It's got a plastic insert. It's one piece of leather, very thick leather. You can see that. Nice, solidly well done. I think this sheath is awesome. Yes, it fits in there nicely, but it rattles a little bit. The cool thing is it's not coming out, and it's nice. It makes me feel good. You guys know I talk about how something makes me feel, and with a knife, I want it to make me feel something, and the sheath absolutely does that. So I do quite like that sheath. Last thing I want to say is it is lightweight. I think this was about 7.7 ounces. Let's bring the scale back on here, and I'm going to compare it to another knife. So let me grab real quick the Cold Steel Master Tonto. Now this is also a 6-inch blade. Not a clip point, but it is hollow ground, and it does have a stainless guard and pommel. Let's see how much this weighs. 9.3 ounces, guys. That's almost 2 ounces more than this. That's quite a bit of weight right there. So let's say 1.5 ounces more for the same blade length. You're getting a little bit more as far as like a stainless guard and a stainless pommel, but it's just lightweight for its capability, for its size, and for its price. So I think that's pretty cool, and I like how lightweight this blade is. Okay, real quick, I do want to add something I don't mind, and right now that's the price. Now, these used to go for around 50 bucks. You could even get them at Walmart. You can get them a couple other places too, but 50 bucks for 420 steel. Now that's a Boss heat treat. So it's also something I don't mind. So I'm not really going to talk too much about 420 HG with a Bosch heat treat. It's an acceptable steel. I think it works. I'm not going to say I like it. I might have said that in the past before, but I'm just going to say it's one of those working steels. It'll work just fine for you. It's going to be easy to sharpen, and it's not going to rust, but it's not going to hold an edge forever either. But I don't mind the price because now they go for about 70, and yes, they are US made, but 70 bucks for 420 HC, even with an overall nice presentation and nice sheath, I think that's not a bad deal, but I don't think it's a great deal. So the price is going to be something I don't mind because they go for around 70 bucks, and I think it would be something I would be like, this is a great point. Like, it would be one of my what I like points if it was still 50 bucks. So let's move on to what I don't like, and it's really just the one thing. This handle. Now, this handle is pretty comfortable. When I first held it, I hated it, actually, and I'll tell you why in a second. And I don't hate the handle itself. The thing I really don't love is phenolic. I don't love this material. Apparently it's quite strong, but it can crack. And I do like modern materials a good bit more, I think. Like Kraton, like some of the stabilized woods. And I know they do use those on here, but this is the most common version. So I don't love this handle material just because I think there are better handle materials out there. Even a stabilized wood, I feel, I could be wrong, but I feel like it would feel better in hand and maybe be more durable. Could be completely wrong. Let me know in the comments. Another thing I don't love is, okay, it is quite thick around the top right here. So the way my hand index is on this, I have relatively short fingers, kind of short, fat fingers. The way my hand index is on this, it's comfortable, but it feels like it should be a good bit thinner around the top and maybe even a little bit wider under here. So maybe not the inverse of this, but just thinner on the top, maybe a little bit wider out here. And I think it would index much better. Let me know how it feels in you guys' hands. It might be completely different, but yeah. So I don't love the handle. It doesn't fit me super well. It's okay. And the handle material, I don't prefer. I'm going to prefer something like Kraton or, something like that. Stabilized wood look a little bit better, I think. Okay, so what's unique? So I think kind of the same thing with the K-bar. I know there are people who carry these same knives into like Vietnam. These are very common knives all around the world. It's something very classic, very kind of American about a buck knife, a buck 119, because it's been around so long, carried so long, and it's so well renowned. You're kind of getting a piece of history, kind of like with the K-bar or even with the buck 110. So I think that's what's unique is in getting this knife. It's still a very functional knife, even though there are other knives that they're going to function probably a little bit better for specific tasks, whether it be hunting or a camp knife. You're getting kind of a piece of history, and it's still going to function just fine in a lot of those tasks. It's not going to be able to do heavy uses. It's kind of a very steep hollow grind, so it's going to slice very nicely, but it's not going to be super durable. Pretty thin tip on there, and I know that those have broken, so it's not going to be as durable as something like a Cold Steel Master Tonto. But you're not getting that classic style like you do on a buck 119 with a knife like the Master Tonto. So I think you're kind of getting a piece of history when it comes to this knife, and I think that is awesome. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. It is an absolute recommend for me with those caveats. Just decide what you want. If you want to keep it in the collection or if you want to use it, just be well aware of its limitations, that it has. So anyway, it is a recommend for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.